right? I mean, look, it's always been a bad way to determine performance, right? Because we know marijuana stays in the system. You know, the craziness of drug testing. If you want to get totally bombed on a Friday night and be okay at work Monday morning in terms of drug testing, don't smoke a joint, right? Alcohol and cocaine is the right combination for you. That's a crazy message to send with drug testing, right?
Yeah,
so,
because cocaine's out of your system in like 24 hours
exactly,
or so.
And the alcohol, same thing.
It's stupid. You know, it's really stupid, and these stereotypes are ridiculous. These stereotypes that pot smokers are dumb and lazy, and, you know, they insult me. You know, it really drives me nuts, and I hate having to defend it, because it's you're defending just these ignorant stereotypes that were propagated by reefer madness. I mean, that was like really started it all off, and the effectiveness of the propaganda that Hearst Publications put out in the 1930s, it's amazing how well that worked almost 100 years later.
So you know what else it is? And I used to make this analogy more often than I do today, but I'd say, you know something? In America 50 years ago, everybody knew a gay person. They just didn't know they knew a gay person. Right? And therefore their image of who was gay was determined by what they saw in the media. Somebody getting arrested in a men's room, or somebody flamboyantly walking down Christopher Street in New York City, or people who are very, very effeminate, right? Now, of course, everybody knows a gay person, right? It could be their cousin or their employer, you know, it's all around the place. And therefore our image of who is the gay person, right, has become, we don't have any associations. It's just the person who seems effeminate or just the person doing odd stuff. Well, similarly with marijuana, everybody in America knows not just a marijuana user, but a responsible marijuana user. The problem is they don't know they know them. Therefore, who's their image of the person who uses marijuana user? They think of that high school dropout, or the kid with, you know, Hempleys and his blonde dreadlocks who's a troublemaker at school. They think of their friend's kid who got in trouble with drugs. That's who they think of. Now, mind you, the kid who just got straight A's and is going to an Ivy League school or to UC Berkeley or Stanford or whatever, and who's also smoking weed, that kid's being more discreet, and nobody knows he's doing weed except his friends. So we have a biased image of who, in fact, the marijuana user has been in America. Now, as it becomes more legalized, as people become more open and out with it, I've been struck at all the people I've known for many years who are finally saying to me and admitting to me that they've been using marijuana or psychedelics regularly for a long time. Now we're seeing that thing begin to shift in our society the same way we saw it happening with gay people in this country.
I think you're right, and I think I've seen a giant shift just within the last 15 or so years. You know, I started smoking pot when I was 30. I'm 48 now, so I've been smoking pot for 18 years. And before I smoked pot, I thought it was for losers. I really did. I got lucky. I met my friend Eddie Bravo, and he is this really creative musician, and explained to me that it helps him like write music and create music. And he's this interesting guy that I used to do jiu-jitsu with. That's also a weird thing about martial arts. A tremendous amount of UFC fighters smoke pot. I mean, a massive amount, where it's a huge issue for them when involving drug tests. You know, that they have to stop smoking weed for the last 4 weeks or so in order to pass drug tests. When I say, I mean more than don't. More UFC fighters smoke pot than don't smoke pot.
Same thing true of the NBA.
Yeah. Oh, well, the NBA, it's giant.
The NFL. I met a football player, a retired football player, Marvin Washington, at the end of last year, and he was, he's been getting involved in the medical marijuana thing, but he's really a brilliant guy, and he cares about the broader policy issues. We landed up drafting with him and 3 other, Pro Bowl, Pro Bowl winners, basically a public letter calling on the NFL to change its marijuana testing policy, to admit that marijuana has medical value, that it's safer for many players, that when it comes to dealing with concussion injury, that marijuana may actually have a therapeutic dimension to it.
Well, not just may, does without a doubt.
So the evidence there. I was also encouraged.
Anti-inflammatory properties of it.
Do you see the International Olympics Committee? What they've done now is I think they've changed the level or when they test for marijuana. So they basically are saying, if you haven't used marijuana, within the 24 hours before a match, you're not our concern anymore. Right. So you see an evolution happening, and at different rates in different types of professional sports.
You do, and it's so important. It really is, because otherwise you're basing your laws and the way you punish people on ignorance. It's foolishness.